Director positions, and for after that for Molalla Fire District Board of Director positions. We're really happy to host this event tonight. I know when I looked at all the names and all the candidates that were running in the paper a few weeks ago, I said, wow, I don't know what these people are thinking and who to vote for, so let's have a forum. So I'm glad that all of you feel the same way, and I hope that you have some good questions for the candidates tonight. So we have a system. Joe and Bethany from the Molalla Pioneer, raise your hands, okay. They're going to be asking the questions and sorting and consolidating the questions if need be, and they'll ask the questions of the candidates, but you can get your questions in. Mike Wagner over here from our Hamlet of Molino is actually going to come around. If you raise your hand and indicate that you have a question on one of those slips of paper, Mike will get it from you and deliver it over here to Bethany and Joe so that they can get it and ask it of the candidates. So anytime you think of a question, jot it down on one of those pieces of paper, hold your hand up or hold the paper up, and someone will come and get it into the flow so that we can ask the candidates the question. Joe has a system that he'll describe as I turn the mic over to him so that he makes sure that we hear from all of the candidates and he gives them all a fair chance to be caught off guard as well as be prepared for the questions that we're going to ask tonight. So I think all of you have been here at the Adult Center before, you know where the restrooms are and things like that. We have punch and we have coffee and we have cookies, so feel free to, if you get hungry, just get up and get some munchies anytime. I don't know that we're going to take an actual break, although we'll probably take a few-minute break in between school board and fire district. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joe and we'll get started.
And I think my mic's working. I don't know if that one's even working. Well, welcome to the Candidates Forum, sponsored by the Hamlet of Molalla Prairie and the Molalla Hamlet. Sue already introduced Bethany and I. And before we get into it, I'd like to especially thank three people for making this evening possible. Sue Hubline and Susan Hansen of the Molalla Hamlet and Mike Wagner of the Molalla Hamlet. They helped organize the event, and if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't be sitting here tonight learning all about these candidates. And I also won't forget my technical expert over here, Mitchell Ross, who set up the sound system, though we're having a little issue with that, but I don't have to pay him right away. So. And he's also our timekeeper today, and I'll explain how that's going to work in a moment. Tonight we're joined by candidates for the Molalla Rural Fire Protection District and we're also joined by the Molalla River School District Board candidates too. And we're starting with the school district or school board candidates, and then we're going to go into the fire board candidates afterwards. Earlier this evening, each candidate pulled a random number, and that determined the position that they're sitting up there on the front table from 1 to 6. And that keeps things random and fair in terms of the order questions are asked. For example, when I start with question number 1, I'll start it with candidate number 1, and then candidate number 2 will then answer it, candidate number 3, and so on. And then for question number 2, we go to candidate number 2. So it kind of rotates through who gets to answer each question first and last. And at the beginning of each group of candidates, each candidate is going to have 3 minutes to make an opening statement, kind of an introduction of themselves. And then our timer over here, Mitchell, will raise his hand. He'll just raise it steady when there's only 30 seconds remaining, and then he'll wave, and when there's no time left, and then after about 5 seconds after that, he'll jump up and down and yell. So, and I ask each of the candidates to adhere to these time limits, and I'll politely interrupt you if you go over. We'll ask them some questions also generated by the audience members. And as Sue said, Mike Wagner is going around collecting questions on little pieces of paper. We'll try to get as many of them as we can. We're going to try to limit this to 90 minutes because it is school night. You know? So I ask that you do not yell at the candidates or yell questions at the candidates, and likewise candidates to the audience. And it's actually happened. And candidates will direct their questions, their answers to the audience in general and not to a specific person in the room. And also they won't address each other. It's not a debate, it's a forum. So we'll start off with the opening statements for the school board. So we'll start off with candidate number 1 over there, and you can introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes to talk about yourself.
Okay, is this on?
Yeah, it's on. Right after.
Hold close.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. My name is Teresa Knox, and I am a Molalla resident, as needed to be for running for position 1 on the school board.
record, so I have a day job. I also have an evening job, which is running my small farm. I produce poultry and eggs for a farmer's market that I sell at in Salem, Oregon. I have, and some of you may have read my bio briefly in the paper this week, actually today, I am a graduate of Canby Union High School. That's primarily where I grew up. My mother's family is from here in Molalla. My grandfather had a farm out on 211, and so I spent many summers working on the farm, and obviously it was in the community in my youth years. I have a bachelor's degree, 2 bachelor's degrees, and a master's degree from Marylhurst College in management science and communication. I have 2 granddaughters that are currently in the Molalla River School District, and I care deeply that they get the proper kind of education so that they can make choices as to what they want to do with their lives. And it's not just my grandchildren that I am concerned about. I want all of the children in the community. It's not working. Did you stop the timer? How's that? Better?
No,
No, it's
about
not.
the same.
Same. Okay. All right.
That's a little
Is
better.
that a little better?
Yell into it.
Yay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay. Okay, so kind of established myself that I live here and that education is a passion for me. It was a teacher that I had in my freshman year of high school that actually, unbeknownst to him, sent me out on my career path, which is in computer science. He took students to Clackamas County schools for career day, and that's where I discovered what I wanted to be when I grew up. So teachers are very important. We need to have strong programs for our children, and without that, how can they begin to discover what path they want to lead in the future?
All right, thank you. I'm going to start with number 2, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Linda Eskridge, and I have a bachelor's degree in nursing, and I'm also a retired captain in the Army National Guard, and I did medevac, and I've worked 30 years as a nurse supervisor, emergency rooms, ICU, CCU, so all of my experience is in the medical department, and I just have leadership skills, management skills for nursing, and I've just gotten interested in the school and what's happening because of our education and our failing students, and I'm extremely concerned about what's going on. So that's why I've kind of thrown my hat into the ring, and I'm learning all this stuff about education. So she's extremely well versed in education, and I'm well versed in medicine. But my main concerns in the educational level of our children, back in 1970, America was leading in education. Now in 30 developing countries, we rank 25th in math, 21st in science. And in our OECO PISA math test, the U.S. ranked last place, and yet our children ranked first place in confidence. So there is a disconnect, and I'm hoping we can get better programs to improve our kids' education so that they can compete with the global market. I feel that we need to make some improvements and think outside of the box. Apparently the unions are falling down on the job. Some tenured teachers have lost their motivation. So I think that we should start rewarding our teachers who do the job and get our students out there. Educating our children is the main focus, and we need to educate our children or we are going to have a lost generation. Our economy and America is going to be lost. We are already in the process of losing it right now because of a low educational standard, and we cannot worry about hurt feelings at the expense of our children's education and their future. Thank you.
Okay, I am Marty McQuay, and I am a new face in town. We moved here about a year ago and to Molino, and we love it. We are in love with the whole area, and we are here to stay. We've been moving around for 20 years of military and whatnot, and we are really excited to be back here in the Northwest where my husband and I grew up, and we just love the Molalla area. So we're digging in. We're here, and I'd love to be able to serve on this board as a means to put into place a mechanism for things that I feel passionate about. We have 5 children, and we're just starting our grandchildren adventure here with that little baby over there. But we love children. We've also fostered almost 30 children and have had all sorts of eye-opening experiences with education and various socioeconomic situations. And we have homeschooled, we have public schools, we have international schools, we have worked with charter school startups, we have done long distance learning with, right now my 15-year-old actually is finishing her freshman year of college, earning credits. So we strongly believe in education and pathways to success via education and learning. So I want to encourage growth in ways that we teach our children. None of my children were the same. None of my children, and with the same mom and same dad, none of them were the same nor learned the same way. So I'd like to make sure we have lots of choices for education for our children.
I got a quick statement here. I'm Gary Boswell. I'm running for position 4 on the school board. Currently holding this position, I was appointed in December. I would like to thank the hamlets of Molalla Prairie and Molalla for inviting us to the community election forum. Also want to thank Joe and Bethany for moderating. I'll keep it pretty short here. I have 2 children at Molalla Elementary School and another one that will be there soon. Once I started to get involved in their education in our school system, I saw the need to make a few changes in how the Molalla River School District operates. One of the first things we came across was a dishwasher that wasn't working, that wasn't being replaced, and that's kind of how I got interested in the facilities. Some of the things that I've really been looking at are the facilities and how we manage and maintain them, our reading programs, especially at the K through 5 levels, our elective and vocational programs, our collaboration with other groups and organizations in the community, like the city, the church groups, the civic groups. We can be working a lot more with all of these groups, and how the district communicates. I don't think we communicate well, especially when it comes to making cuts and program changes. And it's all really simple stuff, but it's fundamental changes that we need to make. Just want to drive the point home that we need to make small fundamental changes and bring the focus back on our children and on responsible management. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Calvin Nunn, and I graduated from high school here in '88, and then I went on to get an associate's at Clackamas Community College, and then on to Oregon State, got a bachelor's in general science and a master's in animal science. I've been self-employed since '96 as a horseshoer, running my own business. Been on the budget committee the last 2 years, and excuse me, we have one child currently in 1st grade, and then another one going into kindergarten next year.